What's your reaction to it?
But Clay, I heard in the news that I was the only councillor who voted against the transit master plan. And the bus shelter that we see what's happening today is one of the reasons I voted against it. Not specifically the bus shelter, but specifically because of public safety. If you looked last week on TikTok, there was a video going viral of passengers being threatened by an individual with a knife that was going to stab passengers on a Winnipeg bus. And it was making the rounds on social media throughout the world. We have heard of many individuals that get on the bus and don't pay. And I understand that some people are in a situation where that might happen. But they're also not wearing a mask, and we're not forcing them off the bus, and we're putting other lives in jeopardy. Seniors are being harassed at bus stops for change. Some of them are having their purses stolen. Some people are having shopping bags stolen. Listen, this transit master plan, which quite frankly, for everybody who thinks it's so great, it's not a plan. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I don't think my colleagues understand what a strategic plan really is. And I don't say that to be rude, but this is to buy radios, pay for consultants, build a garage, do a little bit of infrastructure. The master plan part is just the marketing part to try to get everybody to buy into it. It doesn't even talk about safety. And safety to me, Clay, has to be, it must be number one, because public safety, if that's not addressed, who wants to use the bus and who wants to go downtown?
Well, I don't know what the solution is. I mean, I myself, for a while, I was coming into work downtown, and just to save a buck or two, I was jumping on the bus. But as you know, the case numbers went up, I decided I'm not going to do that anymore, and I take my vehicle downtown. But yeah, I know what you mean, but you can't put an undercover cop on every transit bus in town.
No, but there's a lot of jurisdictions, first of all, that have a transit police program, and they've worked it in with their current police service, and much like a little bit different than our cadets. So there are ways to go about this. It means you actually have to go to work and get creative, and that's not happening at City Hall right now. And with the bus, if you recall, many, many years ago, Winnipeg got rid of their bus shelters and their heated bus shelters, especially the one in front of Polo Park, because there was such a demand, or not Polo Park, in front of Portage Place, because there was such a demand to get rid of it. And now this budget, this master transit plan calls to spend 20 to 30, probably $40 million when the time comes, because of rising prices, on more heated bus shelters. If you can't manage the problem today, don't be investing in it. But let me answer your question about fixing it. We walked away from helping Main Street. I would have sat down with Main Street, brought in the Bear Clan, and brought in, people like Damon Johnson and Arlen Dumas, and said, let's have a conversation. If we fund to this amount, how can we all work together that we have constantly somebody going to the bus shelters and helping, not clearing it out, not just taking stuff and throwing it in the garbage. I want somebody there on a consistent basis helping. Because every time we send the police or the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, it is costing us tens of thousands of dollars every single time. The Main Street used to help us with that, but the city refuses to fund them anymore. And Main Street did that for free. They can't afford to do it if we're not going to help them with $400,000.
All right, let's switch gears very quickly. There's a lot of debate about the latest round of restrictions that have been put in place by the province. I mean, I see the reaction. Premier Pallister gets attacked. The restrictions aren't enough. Then he gets attacked from another group saying, you got to bring in more. And some people are saying, well, we got to bring in a lockdown. It just seems like a no-win situation. I do people on the street interviews. They seem split. No restrictions are fine. No, we got to bring in more. We got to bring in less. Earlier this week, Mayor Bowman called on the province to bring in more restrictions to cut down the number of cases in Winnipeg. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Clay, I've been watching the images from India, so I first want to say that we really have to take a moment and and think about those people in India and the families and the people in our community that have connections to India and family in India. It's devastating. And if you watch those images, they're tragic. Now, for what Mayor Bowman, when he called on the province, I thought that was I thought that was incredibly wrong for him to do. We don't need to be throwing fuel on the fire, and especially you don't need a person who is supposed to be leading your city saying that we need to put in more restrictions and hasn't done any at the city. Right? I mean, put your money where your mouth is. It's all about action. But again, it just shows that this city council is all talk and no action. We're quick to criticize, but we're not doing anything about it. I think we were the ones that kept our gym open during the pandemic when everybody else's gym were closed, right? And I think that says it all. For the Premier and for Dr. Roussin and all of them, I think it's hard, but and I know it's difficult because we see ourselves maybe not being impacted by COVID, and we see these restrictions as you know, the government telling us what to do, and I understand that. But I mean, look, let's get the vaccine. I know there's a lot of people that don't trust the vaccine, and everyone has their theory on it. I would just suggest get the vaccine. Let's get through this because we just want to go beyond where we are today. We want to start getting back to normal. With the restrictions, I guess all I would say to the federal government, why didn't you shut the borders down? Why haven't you shut them down yet? Most of the cases... And
a lot of people are asking that question.
Well, I mean, this is rocket science, right? If you close the borders down, we would have closed them down a year ago. Australia did, and they had 23 cases in 4 months in their entire country. So come on. Let's shut our borders down. We could have closed the provincial borders down, and we could have lived a normal life within our own provincial bubble or our own country bubble. So I think on a grander scale, more could have been done and more. But it's easy, right? It's easy for me to sit back and be an armchair quarterback. I'm not there making those decisions. But I think we all have to take a deep breath and say, look, we've never been through this before. Medical people are trying to make decisions. They've got political people involved. You've got stakeholder groups making all kinds of noise. Let's get through this. Let's try to calm down a little bit. Still, the Prime Minister should shut the border for a few months until we get through it all. You can let cargo in and out. But I'm not the right person to judge whether it's right or wrong. Dr. Roussin and all those people have much more skill and talent in that area than I do, and far be it from me to judge them.
Councillor, thank you so much. I have to take a break. You have a great day.
Thank you for having me, Clay, and enjoy the beautiful Saturday as well.
You bet. Kevin Klein is the Winnipeg City Councillor for Charleswood, Tuxedo, Westwood. It is 8:46.
Winnipeg Week.